The knock that changed everything. It was a cold, silent night in the mountains. Snow fell quietly outside, covering everything like a soft white blanket. Inside a small wooden cabin, a man named Jacob sat by the fire. He sipped hot tea and wrapped himself in an old blanket. Life here was lonely but peaceful. No people, no noise, just the sound of wind and the crackling of fire. Then, it happened. Knock. Knock. Jacob froze. He looked at the door. No one ever came this far up the mountain. The road had been closed for weeks because of heavy snow. It was impossible for someone to walk up here, unless they were lost, or desperate. Another knock. Softer this time. Knock. Jacob slowly stood up. He grabbed the flashlight and walked to the door. His hand rested on the handle, his heart beating fast. "Hello?" he called out. No answer. Carefully, he opened the door. A rush of cold wind blew inside, and with it, a shape fell forward. It was a woman. No, not a normal woman. Her skin had a soft glow, light violet under the moon. Her hair was long and silver, sticking to her face with melting snow. She had strange ridges along her cheeks. She was not human. Her eyes were half open. She looked at Jacob but didn't speak. Her lips were cracked. She was barefoot, wearing only thin, torn cloth. Her body trembled. She collapsed at his feet. Jacob didn't move for a second. His brain tried to understand what he was seeing. Was this real? An alien? She was breathing, but barely. Hey, stay with me." Jacob dropped to his knees. He touched her cold wrist, weak pulse. Without thinking more, he lifted her up in his arms and carried her inside. She was lighter than expected, like her body had no strength left. He placed her gently near the fireplace and covered her with 2 blankets. Then, he grabbed a dry towel and began wiping the snow from her face. Her eyes fluttered. She whispered, something in a strange language. Jacob couldn't understand, but her voice was soft. Scared. "It's okay," he said. "You're safe now." She coughed, trying to sit up. Jacob held her back gently. "No, rest. You're freezing." He ran to the kitchen and brought warm water and some bread. When he offered it, she stared at the cup for a long time, like she didn't believe it was real. Then she took it. Her hands shook badly. She sipped the water and a tear rolled down her cheek. Jacob watched, confused and curious. She looked close to death, yet something inside her was still fighting. She took a small bite of bread. Her lips moved again. This time she said one word in broken English. "Thank." Jacob leaned closer. "You said, thank you?" She nodded slowly. Her eyes filled with more tears. "Who are you?" he asked softly. She shook her head and placed a weak finger on her lips. Silence. She was too scared, or too tired to explain. He didn't ask again. Instead, he let her eat and rest. For the next hour, he sat across from her and watched the fire glow on her alien face. She didn't look dangerous, just lost, cold, starving. When she fell asleep, curled near the fire, Jacob walked to the window and looked outside. The snow was falling harder now. Who was she? Why had she come to his door, and what had she escaped from? He didn't know the answers yet, but something deep in his heart whispered. This night was the start of something big. He locked the door tight, because whatever had brought her here might still be out there. The alien woman woke to the sound of a crackling fire and the smell of food. Her eyes opened slowly. For a moment, she looked around in panic, until she saw Jacob sitting nearby, holding a bowl in his hands. The room was quiet, warm and still. Outside the storm raged on, but in the cabin there was peace. Jacob gave her a calm look. "You're awake. That's good." He didn't get up. He didn't rush. He just gently pushed the bowl across the floor toward her. "It's soup. Not much, but warm," he said. She looked at it like it might disappear. Her hands moved carefully, touching the bowl as if it might burn her. Then she brought it close and started drinking. Jacob noticed how fast she ate, no manners, no hesitation. Hunger had taken over. He sat back and watched her. For a second she glanced at him, then looked down quickly, ashamed. "It's okay," Jacob said. "Eat as much as you want." She nodded slowly. Her body still trembled. Her feet were cracked. Her arms had thin scars, and around her wrist he noticed something strange, a metal band glowing faintly. It looked alien, like a device of some kind. He didn't ask. Not yet. When she finished the soup, she leaned back against the wall. Her breathing was easier now. Her eyes looked at him. Really looked. She seemed less afraid. "I'm Jacob," he said, pointing at himself. "Jacob?" She tried to speak. Her voice came out dry and strange, but one word was clear. "Kaelna." Jacob smiled. "Kaelna, that's your name?" She nodded. He tried saying it again, slower. "K. L. Na." She laughed softly, her first real sound of peace. Then, as the silence returned, Jacob stood and handed her a thick blanket. She hugged it tightly, her body curled up near the fire, trying to make herself smaller. Jacob wanted to ask more. Who was she? Where had she come from? Why did she look like she had been running for her life? But he could see the fear still hiding in her eyes. Asking too soon might break her again, so he decided to wait. That night, while Kelna slept, Jacob stayed awake. He sat by the window, looking at the dark sky. The stars were hidden behind snow clouds, but he knew something else was up there. Some ship, some world, some reason why this alien woman had fallen onto his doorstep. He looked at the metal band on her wrist again. It had small lights blinking now. Was it tracking her? Communicating? He reached toward it, then stopped. No, not without her permission. He didn't know what would happen if he touched alien tech. Maybe it would hurt her, or call something worse. So he did nothing, just watched. Protected. At dawn, Kelna stirred. Her eyes blinked open. She sat up fast like she had just remembered something terrible. Jacob raised his hand slowly. "It's all right, you're safe." She looked around the cabin, then touched her chest. Her hand trembled. "Home?" she asked softly. Jacob nodded. "For now, this is your home, until you're better." She seemed confused by his kindness. Then, slowly, she pointed to the band on her wrist. "Bad." Jacob leaned closer. "Bad? This?" She nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "Hurt. Me. Catch. Me." He understood now. That device wasn't just a tool. It was a trap, a leash, something meant to control her. She pulled at it, trying to remove it, but winced in pain. Jacob gently held her hand. "Don't force it, we'll figure it out together." Her eyes met his. That word, together, meant something to her. She whispered, "You. Good." He smiled. "I try." Later, that morning, Jacob fixed her a real breakfast. Toast, eggs, and some tea. Kaelna smiled for the first time, and Jacob felt something shift. This wasn't just an alien visitor. She was someone hurt, hunted, and left to die. And now, she was his responsibility. But as the snow outside slowed and the clouds began to clear, Jacob had a sudden thought. If she had escaped from something, that something might be looking for her, and they might not be far. Jacob found her standing near the fire with the blanket still wrapped around her. Her silver hair hung low, still damp from melted snow. She looked better, but only a little. The bruises on her skin had not faded. Her eyes were still wary, like a frightened animal that expected to be kicked. He handed her a soft towel and a clean shirt from his drawer. "It's not much, but better than that rag." Kaelna took the shirt with both hands. "Thank you," she whispered. She still spoke slow, learning English word by word. Jacob turned away to give her privacy, but when he heard her wince, he turned back quickly. She was trying to lift her arm. The metal band on her wrist flashed red and sent a small shock through her body. She collapsed to the ground, gasping, "Kelna!" Jacob ran to her side. She held her arm close, her body curled in pain. Jacob knelt beside her. "That thing, it's hurting you?" She nodded, biting her lip. He wanted to break it, rip it off. But he didn't know what it was made of. It had no seams, no buttons, just a hard, glowing surface and blinking lights. Kaelna raised her sleeve a little higher. Jacob froze. Her upper arm was covered in deep old wounds. Some were healed, others were not. Long, thin scars. Burns. Even strange circular marks that looked like someone had pressed hot metal against her. His chest tightened. "Who did this to you?" She didn't speak. Her eyes dropped to the floor. She pointed to her arm, then to the ceiling. Upward. Jacob followed her finger. "From the sky?" She nodded. Then she placed a hand over her heart and said softly, "Slave." Jacob's breath caught. She had been enslaved, tortured, and somehow she had escaped. But if that band still worked, whoever owned her might still be tracking her. Every second in this cabin could be putting her in danger, and him too. Jacob sat back. "We need to get that off." Kaelna shook her head. "No, if break..." Boom. He blinked. "It will explode?" She nodded. Her hands trembled as she spoke. "Bonded. Kill if free." Jacob swore under his breath. What kind of monsters designed this? She looked at him then, eyes full of pain. "I ran, hungry, cold. I didn't want to die, like others." Jacob felt the weight of her words. Others. She wasn't the only one, but maybe she was the only one who got away. He reached for her hand. "You won't die here. Not while I'm alive." She stared at him for a long time, then gently she pulled up her other sleeve. More marks, more burns, and one strange black symbol near her shoulder. It looked like a brand, something burned into her skin by force. A language Jacob didn't recognize. He took a photo of it with his old tablet. Maybe someone out there could help. Kaelna leaned against the wall. Her voice was softer now, full of sorrow. "They laughed when we cried. No water. No food, only pain, no light, only chains." Jacob clenched his fists. He had seen cruelty in war. But this was evil beyond anything human. "I'll protect you," he said again. "Even if they come here, I won't let them take you." She looked at him with wide eyes. "Why?" He paused, then gave a small smile. "Because you matter." No one had ever said that to her before. She didn't need to tell him. He could see it in the way her lips trembled, and how she turned away to hide her tears. That night, Jacob gave her the bed, and slept near the fireplace instead. But he didn't sleep much. The cabin was safe for now, but for how long? He looked out the window one last time before shutting the curtain. A red light blinked in the sky far above. Something was watching. Something was coming. And it wasn't human. The wind had gone quiet. Too quiet. Jacob stepped outside just before dusk, snow crunching beneath his boots. The storm that had trapped them for days had finally cleared. The sky was clean now. Too clean. No clouds. Just a wide, open stretch of blue turning orange from the setting sun. But something felt wrong. The birds weren't singing. The forest was still. Kaelna stood behind the window, her eyes locked on the sky. She hadn't eaten much that morning. She hadn't spoken either. Her hands kept gripping the edge of her blanket like she was waiting for something. Jacob looked up. That's when he saw it. A ship. It hovered silently far above the trees, shaped like a dark triangle. No sound, no trail, just floating there, watching. Jacob narrowed his eyes. They found her. He went back inside quickly and locked the door. Kaelna stepped back, shaking her head. "Track her," she whispered, pointing to the band on her wrist. "They close." Jacob grabbed his tools. "We have to hide you." She backed away. "They smell me, not just banned." Jacob cursed under his breath. "Then we have to move." But it was too late. Thud, thud, thud. Something landed on the roof. Kelna froze. Jacob turned off the lights. He whispered, "Go. Basement. Now." She nodded and ran, silent like a shadow. Jacob helped her lift the trapdoor hidden under a rug. She crawled inside. He closed it carefully, placing furniture over it. He was just in time. Knock, knock, knock. Not like hers. Not weak. Not desperate. This knock was cold. Sharp. Measured. Jacob stood at the door, heart pounding. He opened it slowly. 2 figures stood outside. Tall. Thin. Wrapped in dark armor. Their eyes glowed, blue behind smooth helmets. One of them tilted his head. "Citizen?" A voice buzzed from a speaker on the helmet. "We are searching for a missing subject." Jacob kept a calm face. "I'm alone here." "Alone?" the voice asked. "Your cabin heat signature suggests 2 bodies." Jacob smiled faintly. "Maybe your scanner's picking up my stove. Been cooking all day." The second figure stepped forward. "We will scan the property." Jacob blocked the door. "Not without a warrant. This is Earth. We still have rights." The 2 aliens looked at each other. Then, without a word, they turned and walked off the porch. Jacob waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. He didn't move. When he was sure they were gone, he rushed to the trapdoor and opened it. Kelna was curled up, her hands over her mouth. Her whole body trembled. "They didn't take me," she whispered, not believing it. "No," Jacob said, "they won't." But deep down he knew they would return. They hadn't come for answers. They had come to mark the place, to test him, to see how far he would go to protect her. And next time, they wouldn't knock. That night, Kelna sat by the fire again. Her head rested on her knees. Jacob handed her a mug of warm tea. "You all right?" She didn't speak at first. Then she looked at him and asked, "Why, lie for me?" Jacob took a breath. "Because you didn't deserve what they did to you." She watched the flames. "Most run. When they see me, they run." "Well," Jacob said with a small smile, "maybe I'm too stubborn to run." Her lips twitched, a tiny laugh, then silence. "I had a family," she said. "Long ago, before the chains." Jacob didn't ask what happened. He didn't need to. She looked up at him. "Can I be safe here?" Jacob answered with steady eyes. "I'll do everything I can." She nodded once. That was the night Kelna stopped sleeping with one eye open, and it was the night Jacob realized he wasn't just hiding her anymore, he was protecting her. The fire crackled gently in the dark cabin. The wind outside had died. No more ship in the sky. No more armored visitors. Just silence. Kelna sat close to the flames, her silver hair glowing like moonlight. She held the warm mug in both hands but hadn't taken a sip. Her eyes stared into the fire as if it held memories only she could see. Jacob sat nearby, sharpening a tool, more out of habit than need. He glanced at her. "You're quiet tonight." Kelna blinked. "I remember things better. When it's quiet." She looked down at her hands. "The fire. It reminds me of my home." Jacob set the tool down. He didn't speak. He knew this was the moment. She was ready to tell him more. Kelna took a deep breath. "I was born on a warm world. Red soil, tall trees that lit up at night. We lived in small huts. We had no weapons, no armies. We didn't need them." Her voice was soft, as if speaking too loudly would break the memory. "We were farmers. We grew food for trading ships that visited sometimes. Then one day, the ships didn't come to trade." She paused. "They came to take." Jacob listened closely. No interruption, no question. Kelna's eyes grew wet. Big ships, dark ones, They dropped machines from the sky. They told us to bow. Some did, most didn't. Her fingers tightened around the mug. They took those who didn't bow, put metal on our wrists. She looked at her glowing band. Like this. We were no longer people, just product. Jacob felt a heaviness in his chest. He had seen war, but this was worse than war. This was a system designed to erase identity. Kalna looked into the fire again. I saw my father beaten when he tried to protect my sister. They took him away. Then my sister. I was left for last. Her voice cracked. They broke our spirits, not just bodies. They used pain to teach us silence, and silence became survival. Jacob leaned forward. But you escaped. Kalna nodded. One night, the ship stopped at a dark moon to refuel. A crack opened in the floor. I squeezed through. I broke my leg. I didn't scream. She touched, the old scar near her ankle. I ran until I reached a shipyard. I hid in a cargo pod. I didn't care where it went. I just wanted away. Her eyes finally looked at Jacob. I didn't know it would land me here. He smiled sadly. Neither did I. She wiped her cheek. I thought humans would sell me too. Jacob shook his head. Not all humans are like that. You found the right one. A silence fell again, but it was warmer this time. She finally sipped the tea. Her face softened. Then she looked at him again. Why are you alone? Jacob paused. It was his turn now. He stared into the flames. My wife died 4 winters ago. Illness. No cure. No family left. Just me and this cabin. Smiled faintly. I thought I liked being alone, but it turns out even silence gets lonely. Kalna whispered. So, 2 lost people, in one place. He nodded. Exactly. She moved closer to the fire, letting the warmth reach her skin. Can I stay? She asked. Until I'm strong. Jacob met her gaze. You can stay as long as you want, she gave a small nod. Then I will help. I can cook, I can clean, I'm not useless, he smiled. You're not useless, Kalna. You're free now. Her lips trembled. That word meant more than he knew. Outside, the snow melted slowly from the rooftop. The sky cleared. Inside, in front of the fire, 2 broken lives quietly started to heal. Together. The next morning began like any other. Jacob was outside chopping wood. The snow had started melting and sunlight touched the trees. It almost felt like peace had returned. Inside, Kalna swept the floor with a hand-made broom. She hummed softly, a strange alien tune. Her body moved with ease now. The weakness in her steps was gone, her skin looked brighter, her eyes less afraid, but the peace did not last long. A strange humming filled the air. Jacob stopped mid-swing, the birds scattered. The air grew thick. Then from behind the trees, a ship appeared. Not a small one this time. A hunter-class vessel, dark, sharp, and humming with energy. It hovered just above the trees, blocking the sun like a shadow from another world. Jacob's heart dropped. They were back. He ran to the cabin, threw the door open. Kalna, hide. They're here. She froze, broom in hand. They found me? Jacob nodded. Go. Basement. Now. But Kalna shook her head. No, this time I won't run. He blinked. What? Kalna stepped forward, her voice was strong. They hunted me, hurt me, took my world. But you gave me something they never could. Dignity. I won't hide anymore. Jacob wanted to argue, but the fire in her eyes stopped him. She wasn't weak anymore. She was ready. Boom. The ship dropped something. A round object crashed into the snow. It beeped, then unfolded. A black machine, shaped like a spider, crawled toward the cabin. Jacob grabbed his rifle. Get behind me. Kalna stepped beside him. We fight together. The spider machine reached the cabin door. But before it could breach, Jacob shot it twice. Sparks flew. The machine screamed and fell still. More thuds echoed outside. They were landing. From the tree line, 3 armored figures walked forward. Same cold metal suits, same glowing eyes. One of them raised a speaker. "Return the subject, human will be spared." Jacob shouted back, "Not happening." The voice continued. "This is your final warning." Kaelna stepped into view. She held out her arm, the one with the glowing band. "Then come take it." Jacob stared at her. "What are you doing?" She looked calm. "Trust me." The lead alien moved forward. A small weapon lit up in his hand. Kaelna raised her wrist and suddenly the metal band glowed bright white. A loud screech rang through the trees. Then, the band cracked. Jacob shouted, "Kaelna, no!" But she didn't scream. The band fell, off her arm, smoking, broken. The aliens froze. Then, without warning, Kaelna screamed, a high-pitched alien cry that shook the ground. It wasn't just a sound, it was a signal. From the trees, another shape appeared, a beast, huge, armored, alien. It leapt onto one of the soldiers and crushed him in a second. The other 2 fired, but Kaelna dove forward, kicking one of them with unnatural speed. The last turned to run, only to be caught by the beast. Silence returned. Jacob stood, stunned. "What was that?" Kaelna panted. "Tracker beast from my planet. It followed my signal." "You called it?" She nodded. "I trained them, before the war." The beast walked over to Kaelna and licked her arm, then sat quietly beside her like a loyal dog. Jacob blinked. "I thought you said you were just a farmer." She smiled faintly. "Farmers learn to protect their fields." He laughed, shocked and amazed. The ship above them suddenly rose and fled the scene, no doubt seeing the failed mission. Kaelna turned to Jacob. "It's over. I'm truly free now." Jacob nodded slowly. "You saved us both." She looked up at him. "Because you gave me the strength to try." And for the first time since she arrived, Jacob saw it in her eyes. Hope. The snow was melting. Spring had finally touched the mountains. The broken ship had not returned. The hunters were gone. The strange silence that followed the battle felt different this time. Not like fear, but like peace. Kaelna stood on the sill porch of the cabin barefoot, letting the soft sun warm her face. She wore one of Jacob's old flannel shirts now, far too big for her, but she didn't seem to mind. Her eyes were calm, her breathing steady. She was free. Inside, Jacob stirred a pot on the fire. Soup again. He had gotten better at cooking since Kaelna arrived. She never asked for anything, but still helped with everything. Cleaning, repairing tools, even hunting. She was gentle and sharp. When she stepped in, he glanced up. "You didn't freeze out there?" She shook her head with a smile. "No, I like this cold now." Jacob grinned. "Strange alien woman who enjoys winter. I've seen everything now." Kaelna stepped closer and sat on the wooden chair across from him. For a moment, she just watched the fire. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled something out, a small glowing stone. Jacob raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" She held it carefully in her palm. "A memory stone, from my planet. Only one I have left." He leaned forward. "What's on it?" She smiled. "My parents. Their voices. Our songs." She placed it near the fire and a soft hum filled the air. A melody began to play. Strange but beautiful. It sounded like wind and stars singing together. Jacob listened in silence. It was the first time he had ever heard music not made by humans. Kaelna's voice turned quiet. "I used to play this every night then. After the war I stopped. I couldn't bear it." She looked at Jacob. "But now, I feel strong again. Safe." He said nothing, just met her gaze. Then she stood, walked over, and sat beside him. "You didn't know me," she said. You could have closed the door, but you didn't. You brought me in, fed me, protected me. You risked everything. Jacob looked at her. You needed help. She shook her head slowly. I needed more than that. I needed someone to see me. As a person, there was a long silence. Then she touched his hand gently. In my world, when someone saves your life, they are called heartkin. It means deeper than family. Chosen, not by blood, but by soul. Jacob blinked. That sounds important. It is, she said softly. So, I want to say it properly. She looked into his eyes. You are my heartkin now. You are my family. Jacob didn't know what to say. His throat tightened. Family. That word had felt empty since his wife passed. Now, hearing it again, from someone so far from his world, it felt new, alive. He cleared his throat and nodded. Then I guess you're stuck with me. Kaelna smiled, eyes wet with quiet tears. I wouldn't want it any other way. That night, they sat side by side on the porch, watching the stars. No more running, no more hiding. Two souls from different worlds, now sharing one life. And in the quiet mountain air under the endless sky, Jacob knew something he hadn't felt in years. He was no longer alone, and neither was she.